it didn't work as Eric Lane is hit by Jim Ryan, and a flag goes down with the play.
You can hear the action out there as you get the popping of the pads, and you heard the screaming of the linebacker, run, 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 run. Interesting choice here. Not much gain on the play. Joe Collier, 25 years. All of that in the AFL or the AFC.
Warmest notes in the league.
Yes, that's his notebook that he has tucked into his pants there. And he keeps notes in there all during the week, has it with him in case he wants to review it. There are the signals. And we see it again. Screw that defense down a little tighter. We got to shut them down, gang.
So two outstanding assistant coaches, Prohaska and Collier, match against one another here in the Kingdome today.
It's like a chess match, too, Dick. It really is. The strategy and philosophy.
Second down and 13 after the penalty. Craig with another flag down, and he goes down. Rulon Jones with a sack at the 15-yard line. Jones, 11th of the year. Young man from Utah State leading Denver in that department.
We've got another stud for you. Rulon Jones, right in the center of your picture. We talked earlier about the matchup of Rulon. He is their best pass rusher. He's stunning again, going inside. Reuben Carter clearing the way for him. He got a piece of Craig. Now, Craig spins out of there, but when you take that much time, you put a lot of pressure on your offensive linemen. One of them couldn't hold the block, ended up doing some holding, and, of course, that's the penalty.
There are the leaders in attacking the quarterback for Denver, and obviously the Broncos will decline the penalty, take the play on the sack, and it's third down and 17. Denver very much in control in this first quarter, leading 10-0. Dan Dornick, veteran from Washington State, he gets short yardage back almost to the original line of scrimmage on a 6-yard play, and Jeff West and the punting team comes in.
Well, certainly so far in this ball game, the Denver Broncos, who were expected to kind of wilt coming here to play in the Seahawk country and here in the Kingdome, have had their way with the Hawks, both offensively and defensively, and Knox has got to get his troops whipped up over there. West from University of Cincinnati, and Gerald Wilhite at the other end for Denver. Wilhite, a #1 pick out of San Jose State. Another short kick. Wilhite to the 48-yard line. The first kick by West was only 33 yards, and this one wasn't much longer. In fact, it was shorter, 31. Denver has the lead and the ball again.
Guten Morgen.
Morgen.
Wir nehmen den neuen Jetta.
Ah, Paris.
Introducing the new Volkswagen Jetta, the first affordable German road car.
Allez-y.
Exhilarating performance, precise, responsive handling. With the new Jetta, half the fun is getting there.
Paris.
Hey, der Eiffelturm.
The other half is getting back. Jetta. It's not a car, it's a Volkswagen.
This is the time of year when we gather from far and near, and we welcome the season in, and let all the love begin. And the jokes you tell, and the songs you sing, and the sight of your smile still means everything. And I finally get to say, I think of you every day. Happy holidays, Coors to you.
From the people at Coors.
Take a look back at the year in sports through the music of today's hottest groups. NBC Sports World Music Videos. Tell them Don Pardo sent you.
And Knox is on his way with Seattle into the playoffs. The only coach in NFL history to send 3 different teams into the playoffs. The Rams, the Bills, and now the Seahawks. He's football's answer to Dick Williams of baseball fame. He took the A's, the Red Sox, and the Padres to the World Series. The only man on that sport to be so successful. From the 48, leading 10-0, Denver. Elway getting away again and picks up a yard, maybe 2. Elway has made
big plays with his feet so far in this ballgame, turning what appeared to be a sack back into an excellent play. Let's watch him. Let's see how he sifts against the pressure. Quarterback has to feel the pressure without actually watching it. You see him getting the blitz from 58, Bruce Schultz, and then just stepping up inside, pulling away from Green. And, yeah, well, his baseball slide is coming handy today.
Right. 3 carries, 18 yards, and a touchdown for Elway. Gained just a yard on that try. Rich Paris in for Winder, and he is to the Seattle 45 before Schultz and Robinson can bring him down.
One of the things that we always like to have a look at, if we can, is the throwing motion of the quarterbacks. And in a comparison of these two quarterbacks, you'll notice that Elway's throwing motion is not only very violent, but very quick. Look how quickly that ball is gone. That's quick release. Now watch Craig. A slow motion shot of him. A longer throwing action, a longer motion with the arm. And what that does is gives the defensive backs a little bit of a jump on the football.
Well, no question about Elway's arm strength. He throws rockets, and he's looking now. Deep. What protection. Oh, my. Right through the hands of Clarence Kay, the tight end from Georgia. All that time, and Elway says, finally got a white jersey all alone, and the pass was right there.
One of the biggest plays in the earlier matchup between these two teams revolved around Clarence Kay. Did he or did he not have a pass in hand when it bounced out? It was credited as a fumble. The Denver fans, the Denver coaches screamed it was not a fumble, and even the NFL officials had to agree the next week. But it was a turning point in that game earlier.
Interesting, with so many teams throwing often to tight ends, Denver certainly not there. Kay has caught only 15, and Wright 10 passes all year. Punt by Chris Norman. Paul Scansey, who played his college ball here in Washington, very high and off the side of his foot, but it takes a great bounce for Denver. Well, that may be an omen. That ball looked as if it was going to go out of bounds around the 25 and took a handsome roll for Norman inside the 10-yard line. 36-yard punt. Timeout. 1:23 left first quarter. Denver by 10.
It's nasty out there. Some day to run. Soup looks good.
You still nervous about tomorrow?
Well, it is my first 10K run. I just hope I can do it.
Of course you can. You worked hard, ate right. Here, eat your Campbell's. It's good for you.
Campbell's Chicken Noodle Soup. It's nice when something that tastes so good can make you feel so good.
I'm surprised you're worried about finishing.
Finishing? I'm worried about winning.
Campbell's soup is good food. The night is young and the fever is high. Got room to move, nothing but time. My Levi's coins sparkle and shine. On a night turn, right turn, Levi's corduroy night.
Lane to the 17. Tom Jackson made the tackle.
Big play, Tom Jackson. Almost on cue. This man will come up when you have a big ball game, and he is the inspirational leader of this Denver defense. With the retirement of Randy Gradishar, had to take even more leadership responsibilities. He's done that, and he has really proven himself to be a great competitor. I think he should have been in the Pro Bowl too, but I think that's a travesty in the way this thing was voted this year.
2nd and 2. And Hughes has the first down at the 20-yard line. Steve Busick, who has replaced Gradishar in the middle, made the tackle.
You're getting a flavor now of the philosophy of Chuck Knox and the Seattle Seahawks. Last year they called him Brown Chuck. If he has his way, he wants to play a physical game. He wants to establish a running game. He does not have great running backs, and he'll be moving people in and out all day. He said, how do you know who's going to be in there? He said, I want the guy in there with the semi-hot hand. So,
final seconds of the first quarter. And this will be the last play as David Hughes to the 27-yard line. A gain of about 7. And that is the end of the first period in the battle in Seattle for the Western Championship. Denver on top 10-0.
If Bill lives in Bighorn, Wyoming,
Howdy.
and Stan lives in Rockland, Maine,
Hey there.
and Jane lives in Calhoun, Georgia,
Charmed, I'm sure.
how much will it cost Fred to call all of them? $10 for an hour of calls.
Sounds good.
AT&T's Reach Out America plan. An hour of long-distance calls anywhere in the U.S. for $10 a month. Additional hours are even less.
Now you know just how far your money goes. That must be Fred. AT&T. The more you hear, the better we sound.
Mercedes-Benz unleashes the diesel experience. The stunning 190 class diesel sedan. Pure fun. Pure Mercedes-Benz.
The car won't start.
Winter driving can mean trouble, but plain gas-lined antifreeze often can't help. STP gas treatment does more. It tunes up your gas for better performance. Used regularly, STP helps break up water in your tank to remove it, helps clear your fuel line, and cleans your carburetor. Satisfaction guaranteed.
Oh, Daddy's coming!
Don't get stopped cold. Get STP gas treatment and tune up your gas. STP. Your car care company.
Dick Enberg, Merlin Olsen, welcome back. Second quarter for the AFC Western Division Championship. The Denver Broncos dominating the time and the yardage in the first quarter.
they did it in part with their running game, but because they're running effectively, that will open up the passing game.
Seattle with the ball, trailing 10-0. Second down along 3. Eric Lane for the 28. And what Chuck Knox has had to do this year with the injury to Kurt Warner, the brilliant running back who went down with a serious knee injury in the first game, he's had to use a series of backs. In fact, the top 4 runners for Seattle, their total this year does not equal Winder's total for Denver. Ball is 2.5 yards away from a first down.
Let's watch the way the center steals a little yardage here. Look at the way he took the ball and stretched it out in front of him. I wonder how much yardage they steal during a ball game that way.
Some are better than others. Craig in trouble. Jackson after him. And he's down at the 24. Another sack for Denver.
Excellent pressure on that play, and that the Broncos were shut out in the sack department in that earlier game. Let's look at how these two teams apply pressure to the quarterbacks. Now, what this is a comparison of sacks by the linebackers and by linemen and by, we'll get back, defensive backs. Tom Jackson has 6 sacks on the year. He is one of the best at rushing that quarterback. Here he is one-on-one with Craig, showing you good breakdown, good play, good pursuit inside out. There's the difference. Well, we'll get back to that a little later, guys.
Jeff West the punt. This one a little better than his previous 2, and a fair catch by Will Hyde at the 33-yard line. Now the Broncos have stopped Seattle again, and it was the pass rush spearheaded by Tom Jackson that forced the punt early second quarter.
Give her the ultimate, a quality diamond of a carat or more.
Oh, what Sylvania light bulbs go through before they come to you. As as many as 38 tests in all. So that when you do this, your Sylvania light bulb will do this for an average of 1,000 hours. And isn't that the best test of all?
Today's game is brought to you by the 1985 Jetta, the new affordable German road car from Volkswagen. By AC Delco, the smart parts. And by IBM and the growing family of IBM personal computers.
Well, they've ruffled the Seahawk feathers, have the Broncos, in the first quarter.
They certainly have, and their objective today to put a lot of pressure on this man, number 17, Dave Craig. You see him taking some abuse. The point we wanted to make here, the Broncos have not been able to get to the quarterback with their the defensive line. Seattle, on the other hand, with a three-man rush, has 44 sacks among their defensive linemen. That means that they have a lot more freedom in what they can do defensively.
Those linebackers and defensive backs used by Denver much more to rush the passer than Seattle. First down, and no gain for Winder. Joe Nash, well, that's a great story. Number 72 out of Boston College. He was a senior when Doug Flutie said was a little freshman. He said he's about a fifth-string quarterback. We put him in a nothing game. We were behind, and Flutie threw a couple touchdown passes, and everyone said, ooh, this guy can play. Indeed, and Flutie goes on to win the Heisman. Nash, himself a free agent. Nobody wanted him, but Seattle found him, and now he's a Pro Bowler, a nose tackle. Elway going deep for Johnson, intercepted by Harris. 20, 30, 40, down at the 44. John Harris, his 6th of the year.
That's twice today that we have seen Seahawk defensive backs pick up tipped balls. That ball bounced by Terry Jackson, number 24, right into the hands of John Harris. Another angle of that play is Elway unloads the ball deep. First he runs to get a little extra time, and then on the run, underthrows his pass. Timed very well by number 24, Jackson, right there, and bounced right into the hands of John Harris.
Seattle, trailing 10-0, has the ball at the 44.
It's important, you know. It's important that we have reliable supplies of energy to make electricity and keep America growing. But energy from other countries is unpredictable. It can be taken away. So we try to use energy resources found here in America. Plentiful resources like coal and nuclear energy. And we try to use all our energy sources efficiently. Coal and nuclear energy. They're part of the homegrown energy we can count on.
Test pilot Chuck Yeager for AC Delco.
This flight doesn't get scrubbed for bad weather. A high-performance fighter has the technology to handle it. So does this, the all-weather Delco Freedom Battery. With the power to start you in the cold and the technology to beat the heat. And you never add a drop of water. Never wait for trouble. Get the all-weather Delco Freedom Battery.
From $39.95 for a Series 40, call 800-AC-DELCO.
The NFL plays here, Pittsburgh.
The Steelers have defended their Central Division crown with Mark Malone's strong arm and John Stallworth's sure hands.
The NFL plays here, Los Angeles.
The Raiders have their backs against the wall, challenging their old nemesis. Playoff spots are on the line.
Pittsburgh battles the Raiders. Your team plays here.
My team plays here.
The Seahawks lead the NFL in interceptions. 2 more today. That's 36. And they have some of the top active pass purloiners in the NFL.
In this ball game today, 3 of the top active interceptors in all of football. Brown, Foley, and the man you saw moving up on that list, John Harris, had 10 interceptions once earlier in his career.
Trailing 10-0. Seattle ball at the 44. Craig to Charlie Young, can't hang on at the 50-yard line. Well, it's a different Denver defense that they're throwing at Craig, isn't it?
One of the things they're trying to do today, and it's been quite effective in the early going, in the Denver ball game earlier, the one they played earlier, they played a lot of zone defense. and Craig cut them up pretty good. Collier has come back now. They're playing a lot more man-to-man defense. And their philosophy, let's put the pressure on Craig. Make him throw the accurate passes. If he has a hot day, we're going to have trouble. There's the signal. He's taking a bow to his defense. I guess they earned a bow from the coach.
Well, Craig is only 2 for 8 and 18 yards in this first half. 12:45 left in the second quarter. 10-0 Denver. Here comes Smith on a blitz. This is Turner. And a first down at the 44 of Denver.
Darryl Turner has had to come on as a wide receiver because of the loss of Paul Johns. Johns went down with a neck injury early in the year. Turner, a raw rookie, has tremendous long strides and great speed, and we'll wish him a happy birthday here today too. You saw him catching that opening touchdown in the game earlier this year. In this ball game, he's not been heard of on the deep patterns yet, except for the one that was overthrown, but showing a good job in the short areas on that play.
Yeah, they call him DP, Darryl DP Turner. Oh, here's the little flea flicker. Craig going to Largent. At the 15, now 107 straight games for Steve Largent.
Well, the Denver defense knew they weren't going to shut this man out. Their objective to contain him. Largent finding the look how he knows where that sideline is. Now, that's amazing. Never looked at the sideline. Knew exactly how much room he had. The flea flicker right there. Used back to Craig, and Craig right to Largent.
First down at the Denver 15. Trying to get back in the game. Eric Lane. No gain. Reuben Carter, the veteran from Miami of Florida, stacking up the play with Busick assisting.
Excellent corner force by Louis Wright that time. Well, we talk about team defense. It's certainly true for both of these teams, but look how many people involved for the Broncos. 16 different players have recovered fumbles. 16 different players have quarterback sacks, and 13 different players have picked off interceptions during this season. Everybody's contributing.
Intercepted by Mike Harden, number 31. Largent was open, the pass a little late getting there.
One of the problems that you have when you really lean so heavily on one man, as Seattle does on Largent, is that it's not hard to figure out in a pressing situation who the quarterback wants. And there's such good unspoken communication between Craig and Largent. In fact, Largent is free on a lot of patterns if he can see that he's going to be covered to break the pattern off and really improvise. He does that frequently, and Craig usually can read those moves and often can get the ball to him in time.
3rd and 11, and out of the shotgun, Craig with Dornick to his right. 3 wide receivers are left, and that's where Craig wants to go. Complete to Scansey. First down at the 4, or is it? It'll be close. Scansey, drafted by the Steelers a year ago out of the University of Washington. He's the all-time receiver in Washington Husky history, and put on waivers this year and grabbed quickly by Seattle. It'll be close.
Looking at it from behind as Craig will take the snap now. He'll get pressure from the left side from number 77, Carl Mecklenburg. Here comes Mecklenburg pushing Ron Essig inside. You'll see the receiver showing up on the inside there. Able to get away from Steve Wilson, and that was an excellent pass thrown to lead the receiver, get him in there for the first down.
And it is a first down inside the 5.
Chick Harris, the man in your screen with the headset on, he will signal in the plays from the sideline. They'll come down from upstairs and will be signaled in to the quarterback from the sideline.
They go with 2 tight ends. Mike Tice, 86, anchors the right side with Young on the left.
down back. Great hands. He's a great pressure player. The Seahawks get the payoff on that long drive.
The interception by Harris set it up. Johnson's try for point. Zorn holding. And it's 10-7. He's going to be a medical doctor, following in the footsteps of his father, uncles, and brothers.
From our unique camera on the goalpost, they're coming right at you. And that's Dornick celebrating the touchdown.
And the camera fixed right on the center of the crossbar, or the support for the crossbar.
It's taking a bow.
10:28 left in the first half.
This gift is for a friend of mine, so he won't feel alone at Christmas time.
Remember the true spirit of Christmas on Kodacolor VR films. Kodak's sharpest, most dazzling color print films ever.
Dear Joe, I sent this gift because you're my very best friend, love, Santa Claus.
Sounds like there's a bear in the beer.
What are we going to do?
I'll be right back.
Where's he going?
He's going to get that beer from that bear.
That's not just a bear. That's a grizzly.
Yeah, but that's not just a beer. That's fire brewed Stroh's. I thought we had 3 cases.
Well, had to make a deal.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
Sunday, it's Mr. T and Emmanuel Lewis as
A kid that doesn't care too much about Christmas.
Can Mr. T help him get the spirit? Don't miss A Christmas Dream, Sunday.
Back at the Kingdome, where Seattle has cut Denver's lead to 10-7. 10:28 left. Lang and Will Height deep. Norm Johnson to kick it off. Wow. Will Height. He's not going to run it out. And that is probably a wise choice, because one of the things that Seattle does so well on those high, deep kickoffs, they stop you around the 10-15-yard line. You're really in the hole.
Certainly do a good job of that. Scoring drive, 7 plays, 223, 56 yards, and of course finish it off with a pass. And again, uncharacteristic of what Chuck Knox would like to do. He would love to have run that football in, but realizing that his talent is now in the passing arms of David Craig, he threw the football on first down for the touchdown.
Winder for about 4, maybe not that much. A key on that drive for Seattle was the 30-yard pass to Largent and the third down 11-yard completion to Paul Scansey.
Seattle defense right here thinking again. Turnover. Let's get that ball. They've gotten it twice. 2 interceptions on the day. The last interception, of course, giving them an opportunity to drive for that touchdown.
Again, the winner will have the week off and then host the playoff in 2 weeks. The loser will play the Raiders next week. Elway. No flag. They say that Schultz timed his move on the receiver Johnson, and Reeves totally disagrees.
Reeves is absolutely livid on the sideline, feeling that that was interference. Chance for you to see it at home now as we start from the snap. Elway, a deliberate rollout here to get a little extra time to break away from that Seattle rush. Guns the ball inside. He took a shot anyway. Jeff Bryant there to dump him. You see how quickly he unloads that football, though. That's that throwing motion we showed you earlier.
Third down and 6. Look at Elway. He has the first down, and there are those magic feet of Elway. Oh, he got himself in motion and away from the pass rush in a hurry.
A mobile quarterback can turn a broken play into a big play. Elway's so quick at making the decision to get out of there. Out of the shotgun now. He is getting pressure. First from Jacob Green on the right. Inside. Nash on the inside. He breaks outside. And look how quickly he is downfield and then out of bounds before he can be nailed by Terry Taylor. We got a Terry Jackson and a Terry Taylor. I stopped in between. Terry Taylor.
10 yards and a first down for Elway, who scrambled for 1 touchdown. Lang. No, that's Winder to the 40. Winder again, and he has a chunk of 6 yards on first down. He has been a very busy man with the football, a Denver record for rushing the football. Only the 3rd man in Denver history to rush for over 1,000 yards.
Seems to me that the Seattle defense has just been a half a step away today on the running game, Dick. They're getting a little bit of cloth with those hands instead of enough to grab onto, and it's paid dividends for the Broncos so far.
8:53 left in the first half. Harris has a first down to the 46-yard line. Harris giving Winder a breather. Harris from Utah State.
That's exactly the kind of a play that I was alluding to. Is it looked like Paris was going to be stopped back there at the line of scrimmage, and yet the tackle was not a sure tackle. He was able to slip a little bit, slide a little bit, pick up the first down.
Well, and that interior line, Brian Howard, Bishop, Studdard, Lanier, was really pushing the Seahawks defense back. 10-7 Denver. 8:15 left in the first half. Alertly recovered by Wilhite, who may have been injured in so doing at the 46-yard line.
John Elway will take that snap, flip it back. It looked like it just bounced. Paris wasn't even looking. Paris was not even looking. Now that's someone crossed up the signal there. Either they, and perhaps, I'll tell you what it might be, Dick. When I talked to the Denver players about the earplugs they're wearing, and most of them are wearing them, they said the one place they're having trouble hearing was in the huddle. It's quite possible that Paris did not hear the play correctly.
Wilhite saved the day for Denver. 2nd and 10. Oops, shovel. And Wilhite is in Seattle territory, and Kenny Easley and John Harris, 2 Seattle safeties, make the stop after a 5-yard gain. Boy, that Easley, he's been a star ever since he first put on a helmet. High school, UCLA, 3 times All-American, now a unanimous Pro Bowl pick.
He is one of the most physical defensive backs in football. Great speed, great mobility, and boy, will he hit. They're wrapping in a one-on-one tackle on Wilhite. Took him right to the ground. 3rd and just a little over 5 yards to go. Elway will operate out of the shotgun. No, he won't. Out of the tee.
Complete, and it's going to be right at the yardsticks at the 44-yard line. They needed 5 and got 5.
I don't know if they got it, Dick. It's going to be a measurement. In fact, they're calling 4th down, and let's see if they even measure it. I think he's short.
Well, they spotted outside the 44, and the yardsticks are just inside the 44.
And Dan Reeves not even hesitating here. He's going for the first down.
Big play at 6:11 remaining in the second quarter, leading 10-7.
Reeves pretty confident. They've made it 5 of 6 times going for the short yardage on 4th down.
Elway sneaking. And now it's a man at a spot. First down, Denver.
That's an occasion where the crowd plays an important role. Very difficult to hear the signals in that short yardage situation. Let's see what kind of feeling there is from the coach on the sideline. All right. We could let him tell us if it was a first down. Here's the surge by the line. You see Elway dodging quickly, using his quickness to get in there. But that was a lot of brutal line play. Easily one of the men up to help push Elway back. I've seen quarterbacks hurt in that kind of situation. A lot of bodies around him.
Clock running, 5:17 left in the half. This is Easley on a blitz. They're going for Watson. Intercepted by Simpson. Seattle's ball, the 3rd interception for the Seahawks.
Steve Watson coming straight at you with Simpson on top of him. Now watch the end of this play. Watson throws Simpson out of bounds. His feet never did come down. The official made the decision that if he had come down, his feet would have touched inbounds. That was a fine choice by the official. Great play by Keith Simpson.
Who has intelligence, powerful sound, and moves with ease? Only RCA. Introducing the ultimate VCR. It's easily portable. It's intelligent, so you can select by remote control exactly what you want to record right from your TV screen. And it has powerful VHS hi-fi sound that's superior to any audio cassette. The ultimate VCR, only from RCA. Technology that excites the senses.
I hate to wait.
He hates to wait. Well, you have to wait. So sorry.
Avis knows how frustrating it is to wait for your rental car. That's why we invented the Wizard number, so you can go right from your plane to the Avis bus.
I hate to wait.
We'll get you on your way and into your car fast. We know you hate to wait, so from reservation to return.
I hate to wait.
He hates to wait.
We're trying harder, faster.
I hate to wait.
Dan Reeves of Denver is still arguing about this call. He thought the ball should have been ruled no interception. Simpson up with a catch. Would he have been out of bounds anyway? I think he would have been.
I think he might possibly have been it, but the ruling by the official who was right there was that Watson, by throwing him out of bounds, took away any opportunity he had of getting his feet down in bounds.
Academic now. Simpson has Denver on defense. First down at the Seattle 7-yard line. David Hughes. Hughes, Hawaiian born and raised, went to school at Boise State, showed some nifty moves.
One of the reasons that Chuck Knox has been successful in his coaching ventures around the NFL is that he gets the most out of his players. And very often, the players he has inherited have not been immensely talented. A guy like a David Hughes, for example, not a great NFL back, but showing you on that play that he's capable of playing excellent football, and Knox is an excellent motivator.
2nd and 1. Time running out, first half. 10-7, Denver leads, and Hughes has the first down near the 20. Lane, I guess, on that carry. Stay with us. NFL 84. Will Philadelphia move to Phoenix? That will be the topic of discussion at the intermission. Charlie Young at the 24. Busick made the hit. A gain of nearly 5. Clock continues to run at 3:37.
Excellent play. Charlie Young again taking advantage as he drifted short into the secondary. Everyone dropping back on that play. And the Denver defense, they'll give you the yardage. In fact, they've been very free at giving up yardage during the year, but they're a lot tougher when they get down toward the goal line. You have to be patient. Here's a shot looking into the Denver secondary. Look how quickly they open up the turf. Craig dropping back, getting pressure, but there's Charlie Young, who's drifted down into that area underneath the zone by the linebackers to catch the pass.
Young again. They mark it at the 30. That'll be a first down. Steve Foley, safety from Tulane, made the tackle, and with 2:45, a first down.
Both of these offenses will try and do a lot of the same kinds of things. They really don't want to throw the high-risk passes. They want to control the football. They want to run the football if they can, and they want to throw the passes where there's not a great risk for interception. So far today, the Seahawks have been able to do that. Unfortunately, Elway has not been picked off 3 times.
Well, Elway intercepted 3 times, and yet Denver leads 10-7.
They certainly do. We can't discount that.
Craig over the middle. And Charlie Young has been open consistently. That's his 4th catch. Gives him 33 for the year.
Dick, the philosophy here from the Denver defense, they're going to keep everything in front of them. And they're saying, in essence, we don't believe that the Seahawk offense can move the ball all the way down the field, taking a little piece at a time without making a mistake.
2-minute warning. Seattle has its timeouts, trying to equal the count before halftime.
So hold up. Go on. Lighten the load. Lighten the load. Throw down the trunk. They're catching up. Get rid of the straws. Get rid of the straws.
Good thinking, Bart.
Yep.
Stroh's and Stroh Light. Fire brewed for smoother taste.
AT&T is in music. How? With our people. People who can show record companies how to use our AT&T long-distance network to fill orders electronically from distributors all over the country. So the music never stops. You got me dancing, dancing, dancing. The people of AT&T Communications. We're thinking about your business in ways you never thought of.
64,757, the sellout again at the Kingdome. Spirit of the 12th man, and they retired jersey number 12 prior to the game today in honor of these fans who certainly know and love their football.
They are a very knowledgeable football crowd. I think these two cities, Denver is the same kind of crowd, and they're very proud of their Broncos there the last couple of weeks to do football games and enjoyed feeling the excitement that is going on in that city.
2 minutes to go before the half. 10-7. Denver leads it. Craig looking for a big one. Has it. Turner to the 41 of Denver before Louis Wright can make the tackle. 22 yards on the play.
That's the kind of play that Darrell Turner was not making early in the year. We mentioned a long strider. Look how long his strides are. What they're trying to teach him to do is to control his speed. You know, that's kind of a rounded turn, but he has driven the defenders off with his speed so deep. They're afraid of him. They really are afraid of that speed. Gives him room underneath. Craig finds him for a big reception.
Clock running, 124, 123. Craig finally hits Hughes at the 39, a gain of a couple, and Seattle will spend a timeout.
Craig with a lot of time as he watched that rush come in. Couldn't find anyone deep. He did find Hughes short for a gain. They're going to be about 2nd and 8 when they come back to live action.
I've been an executive in the oil business for more than 20 years. I've always been hardworking, and I love honest competition. But you know, when I'm on the road, the thing that's uppermost in my mind is my family. I'm on the phone with my wife, Betty, and my kids all the time. I've got 6 of them, and they truly are the joy of my life. I love my family, and that's why I care about the kind of community they're going to live in. That's why I'm part of the United Way leadership team that's helping to solve people's problems in my community.
United Way services all kinds of people.
I think that's an extremely... I'm a pretty busy guy, but I always find the time to take in an NFL game on the weekend.
This is my favorite occupation.
I'm Gene Barth, an NFL referee. I've always been a professional on the field, and I try to be a professional in my community. Among my colleagues in the NFL, you'll find doctors, teachers, lawyers, but they're all part of the NFL family on game day.
And United Way is part of the NFL family, too.
This message furnished for the National Football League.
That message from our referee today, Gene Barth, who's doing another outstanding job. They have Seahawker groups from all over the great Northwest, including Alaska.
That group right there, as you're looking at them, fly here from all the way down from Alaska to watch these Seahawk games. Of course, they're a part of the Seahawk network, and I don't think anybody comes further to see football games during a year. In fact, I know they don't, unless they come from Europe or somewhere.
10-7. Denver leads. 1:11 left in the half. 2nd down and 8. Craig complete to Scansey, but short yardage at the 36-yard line, a gain of only 3. So Craig has completed 6 consecutive passes on this drive, but the last 2 have been for short yardage, and he now looks at 3rd and 5 with that clock eating up the final seconds.
Broncos doing a good job of covering downfield, forcing him to go short.
There's the man Largent sliding along the artificial carpet for a first down, and Craig calls time.
3 Denver defenders on top of Largent, but Craig has such confidence in him as a receiver that he's going to get him the ball anyway. Let's watch this magic of Largent. Dennis Smith trying to chuck him, get him off his route early. Largent just moving his body. That's the kind of body control we talked about. Just breaking back inside. Looking at it from behind. No question about who Craig was going to. And you see how he throws that ball low? If that ball is not caught by Largent, there's no chance for the interception. Deliberately thrown down toward the ground so that Largent either controls it or it's incomplete.
Steve Largent, one of the true stars in the National Football League, has 2 catches today. Give Largent 540 in his career. He needs 2 more to tie the number 9 receiver all time, Lance Allworth. Senator Specter of Pennsylvania will be on live at halftime NFL 84. As you look at Steve Largent, he could run for office here in Seattle. He is the most popular of the Seattle players.
I think he could be governor if he wanted. Of course, he goes back home to, what is it, Oklahoma, where he lives?
Oklahoma City. In high school, his quarterback was Pat Ryan of the New York Jets. So a perfect 7 for 7 on this drive. 40 seconds remaining in the half. Threw that one away. Steve Foley was the closest player. Largent was in the area. 32 seconds left.
Denver doing a good job of shutting off the receivers for Craig. Craig having to throw that ball away, and I'm sure that Norm Johnson thinking right now he's going to have an opportunity to make up for one that he missed earlier. Plenty of leg on that earlier kick, but just hung it out to the right. 32 seconds ticking down. 3-point lead for the Denver Broncos, although in this second quarter, the Seahawks have come back and played much, much better football.
Going deep, Turner, incomplete. And almost intercepted.
It was caught by Mike Harden, but the ruling was that he was out of the end zone. One of the things that Darryl Turner does extremely well is to adjust to the ball. Talking to Steve Moore, the receiver coach, said that that's something that he came to us with. We're having to work with him a great deal on patterns and on discipline, but he did bring some real skill. The speed he obviously had, and the ability to adjust to the football.
Well, he's lived up to that nickname, Deep Heat. He averaged 20 yards plus a catch at Michigan State, and he's averaging over 21 a catch here with the Seahawks. 32 grabs for the year.
The Denver defense living up to their reputation, too. They've given up a lot of yardage here, but so far on this drive, very difficult for Largent and for Craig to get anything deep.
Craig in trouble. And down he goes, and with it, at the 40, the possibility of a tying field goal. At the 32, it would have been within Johnson's range, but now it would be 57 yards away. That was a 12-yard sack.
Costly mistake for Dave Craig as Barney Chavis, the old veteran from the left defensive end position, came all the way around. Craig taking a little bit too long. Let's watch him from this close angle. The pressure will come from his right. He's trying to drift. Looks like he just got tangled up with his own feet. I think if he hadn't tripped on the turf there, he would have been quick enough to pull away and get away from Chavis, who was starting to stumble. As it is, it looks like they're going to try one desperation play, hoping that they can perhaps get a penalty or get a long shot down the sideline, get another opportunity. To do this, they're going to have to pick up more than 20 yards on this play.
Well, 21 is the big number. 21 seconds left, and they need 21 yards for a first down at the 40. And they have used their last timeout. Don't forget, tomorrow we have a doubleheader for you here on NBC. Buffalo and Cincinnati. The Bengals trying to put pressure on Pittsburgh as they have a shot at the Central title. The Jets at Tampa Bay, Colts, New England, Cleveland at Houston. But, of course, that Buffalo-Cincinnati game will be a big early game. And Pittsburgh and the Raiders in the nightcap. Raiders still involved in a possible home field advantage for the wild card. Pittsburgh with a win takes the Central Division. Incomplete, and the fans wanted a penalty as number 89 Byron Walker fell in that entanglement.
A lot of legs down there, but the official right on the spot determined that it was not a deliberate attempt to keep Walker from catching the football. Looked like he went down on his own, Dick. I think his leg just went out from underneath him there. Several Bronco defenders up to bat at that football. They didn't want to catch that one. Had they caught it, the ball would have, of course, been a safety there, a touchback. They would have brought it out to the 20-yard line. They would have lost yardage in the process.
Yeah, 13 plays. They had the ball 5 minutes and unable to come up with any points. And Denver, despite 3 Seattle interceptions, apparently will go to the locker room with a lead at halftime. 14 seconds. Oh, Elway's looking for more. Down the middle to Watson, and that one almost intercepted as Harris was in position for his 3rd of the game. Or make that second. Simpson has 2.
Simpson with 2, Harris with 1. 2 linebackers, Sheldon Robinson, 57, 53, Keith Butler. Linebackers for the Seahawks doing a good job of dropping deep on that play, getting a hand on that football, and we've seen a lot of them tipped into those other defensive backs' hands today.
Now we remind you again at halftime, the Philadelphia move. Will they go to Phoenix or not? And what are they going to do about it, perhaps legally? We're going to get some top-level officials discussing with Bob and Pete and company. Incomplete down at the 26-yard line with 1 second showing on the clock.
Now that's Big Ben. Put all those receivers down there and hope you get the lucky bounce. Elway just hanging it out there. We mentioned his strong arm early. That pass designed to stay in the air a long time.
Tom Catlin, an All-American at Oklahoma back in his playing days, the defensive mastermind of the Seahawks. His defense has done a good job on Elway. Elway is 5 for 15 in this first half. 3 interceptions, but he got the one big play, 73 yards to Steve Watson on the opening possession that set up a 1-yard run by Elway for the Broncos' only touchdown. This is the last play of the half. Well, he has an arm, doesn't he? Watson is down there, but so is Easley, and Easley has the interception, the 4th of the half for the team that leads the league in that department. The Seahawks have now extended their lead to 38 interceptions, but for the Denver Broncos, they go to the locker room with a 3-point lead.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
What are the children playing with, dear?
Electronic games from Radio Shack. There's Trackstar with races just like the arcade game. And 3D Sky Duel with 3-dimensional graphics and sound effects. And Supercopter with a joystick and 4 levels of play. Pretty neat, huh, Mom?
Quiet, dear. I'm shooting down my enemy planes.
Oh. Electronic games from $7.95 to $29.95. Only at Radio Shack.
Big, fast, nimble, durable, versatile. 5,000 new parts, German engineered. Introducing the new Volkswagen Golf, the new definition of hatchbacks. When you work on the new Golf as hard as we have, for as long as we have, everything just falls into place. Golf. It's not a car, it's a Volkswagen.
The best and the brightest of the bowls are on NBC. Your day begins with Miami and UCLA in the Fiesta Bowl. Then the Rose Bowl pits Ohio State against the USC Trojans. And Oklahoma battles Washington in a game that could determine the national championship, the Orange Bowl. On New Year's Day, America loves its sports, NBC style.
And welcome to the Halftime Show. I'm Bob Costas back in New York in a game played earlier today, a game which surprisingly has no impact now on the playoff situation. New Orleans defeated the Giants 10-3. The Giants finished 9-7. But today's outcome, meaningless. They knew coming in, whether they won or they lost, the only way the Giants could obtain a wild card spot in the NFC is if Washington beats St. Louis tomorrow and the Dolphins beat the Cowboys on Monday night. Now, in the game you're watching today on NBC, Denver playing at Seattle, both clubs 12-3. The winner is the AFC West champion. Consequently, they'll obtain a bye and they'll play at home against the relatively weak champion of the AFC Central 2 weeks from now. Denver is in front in this ball game by a score of 10-7. If Denver should lose, at least they would get to play the wild card playoff game at home next week against the Raiders. But if Seattle should lose today, not only would they have to subject themselves to a wild card game without getting the bye, not only would they have to play the Raiders, but it's possible they would not even have home field advantage because they might have to play the Raiders in Los Angeles if Seattle loses today and if Pittsburgh is beaten by the Raiders tomorrow. Complicated, I know. Let's take a look at the highlights. Pure football. The crowd, a 12th man for the Seattle Seahawks today. The wave at the Kingdome. But at the outset, the Broncos were undeterred. This 73-yard pass from John Elway to Steve Watson brought them down to the 1. A couple of defenders missed the ball. Watson is hauled down from behind, stopped at the 1-yard line. Then a couple of plays later, Elway calls his own number, goes around the right side and in for the touchdown, which gives Denver a 7-0 lead after the conversion. A Rich Carlos field goal up the lead to 10-0, but then the Seahawks go to the flea flicker. David Craig hits Steve Largent, a 30-yard pickup. Largent has caught a pass in 107 consecutive games. As the drive continues, it's Craig to Dan Dorning for the touchdown, and it makes the score 10-7 Denver. 4 interceptions by the Seattle secondary, 2 of them by this man, Keith Simpson. Here we see Simpson picking off an Elway pass. That has helped to keep the Seahawks close. The score 10-7 Denver at halftime. As you are aware, the sports news this past week has been filled with stories about the possibility of the Eagles leaving Philadelphia for Phoenix. Republican Senator Arlen Specter of Pennsylvania says that he plans to introduce legislation which would block that move, and in the process possibly help clarify the entire question of franchise transfers. Earlier today, I spoke with Senator Specter. Senator Specter, there are indications that a deal may be in the works which would keep the Eagles in Philadelphia. But assuming that falls through, what would your legislation do?
My legislation would prohibit the movement of any professional sports franchise unless that franchise were in trouble. That is, lack of fan support so that it was losing money and inadequate.
Next case someplace else?
Absolutely, Bob. The legislation that I have proposed, which would keep the Eagles in Philadelphia, is legislation that I proposed in 1982 after participating in hearings on the transaction involving the Oakland Raiders to Los Angeles. And similar legislation was introduced in the 98th Congress by Senator Slade Gorton of Washington, passed the Commerce Committee. And I intend, and I've talked to Senator Gorton, he intends we will be working together to put this legislation forward and to try to solve this problem so that if there's any future situation that other teams will not be in jeopardy and other cities and fans will not run the risk of having their teams move away without any just provocation.
There seems to be a widespread misunderstanding of how much power the NFL has in this situation. You hear it said frequently that after the Raiders' decision in California, that the NFL is powerless to prevent franchise transfers. And yet that's not really the case. Didn't the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, in fact, almost invite the NFL to set up some standards which might pass muster when applied to antitrust law?
Bob, that is correct. The NFL has plenty of power to regulate movement of franchises if it does so in a systematic and logical way. The federal courts which have ruled on the Raiders case have left wide latitude for the NFL to establish standards. For example, if the NFL said that a team could move if it were in financial distress, that is, the fans weren't supporting it or it had an inadequate stadium, and if the vote, instead of 24 out of 28 owners were a simple majority, there's no question as a matter of law that that would be upheld, and the league could control any movements of franchises.
Now, the league has long sought some kind of a widening of their antitrust exemption. A cynic might say that the league is now in a position of going back to Congress and saying, look, our worst fears are being realized. Just like we told you, the sky is falling. Davis wins his case. Irsay's gone to Indianapolis. Now Toews wants to go to Phoenix. We need relief, and we need it from Congress.
Well, Commissioner Rozelle came to the Congress in 1982 and asked for an antitrust exemption, but I think he understands that that's not realistic. I'm opposed to it, and most everybody in Washington on Capitol Hill is opposed to it. I talked to Commissioner Rozelle about the Eagles transaction on Wednesday of this week, and at that time, the commissioner said he was not looking for an antitrust exemption, and I urged him to have the NFL establish these standards, and wrote to him on Thursday of this week with the specifics as to what I thought could be accomplished, so that at the moment, Commissioner Rozelle, I think, understands that there's no antitrust exemption possible on broad terms because no one would really know how far that would go. And what they're looking for is a more limited way to control franchise movements. And if the league established a standard and there was any question about its compliance with the antitrust laws, I'm confident that Congress would approve it.
Senator Specter, several weeks ago we had Duke University law professor John Wiestart on the program. It was his opinion that Congress could possibly clarify the whole situation, not just with regard to the NFL, but with regard to all team sports, that some sort of moderate bill could be presented and approved which would pass muster, would measure up to antitrust specifications, and would eliminate the cloud of doubt which covers the entire question of franchise transfers in all sports. Do you think that's possible?
Congress could definitely do that, and it is my judgment, Bob, that if the National Football League doesn't act and act promptly, that Congress will act. I did a survey and found that 31 states have professional franchises. That's 62 senators. And a couple of days ago, I wrote to my colleagues and acquainted them with the problems that they could be next. It may not be the Philadelphia Eagles flying to Phoenix, but it could be one of their teams. And the kind of legislation which I proposed in 1982, which I'm going to reintroduce when we go back in January, would accomplish what the professor said. That is, a standard which would invite the leagues to have rules which could keep teams there unless they could show some real cause, like insolvency or an inadequate stadium.
Senator Arlen Specter, thank you very much. Senator Arlen Specter taped earlier, as a footnote to all this interesting quote from this season's preseason media guide for the Eagles, and it comes from Leonard Toews. I feel a responsibility to this city. I always have. These fans supported us when we were winning 2 games a year. If you don't have feelings for people like that, what kind of man would you be? We'll go back out to Dick Enberg and Merlin Olsen for the second half of the AFC West title game between the Broncos and the Seahawks at the Kingdome in Seattle, right after these messages from your local stations.
Tonight on Different Strokes.
Arnold Jackson's a dead man.
Can Arnold survive his job as head of the school's talent show?
There's a jungle out there in junior high.
Then the Double Trouble girls are so excited. So will Kate leave Allison to go on the road with a rock star?
Pretty cool, huh? You're dead. Tonight.
Only $59.99 for this Nissan truck, and you're telling me no other leading standard compact has more horsepower?
$59.99.
More standard payload, too.
$59.99.
Double walls, 5-speed.
$59.99. Same sticker price as last year.
More truck for no more money.
That's what I've been trying to tell you.
Right now, special incentives from Nissan can help save you big money at your Datsun dealer. But hurry, offer limited.
Complex designs used to involve hours of tedious mechanical drawing. But the people at Autotrol Technology had a big idea. Use computer-aided design and manufacturing to increase productivity. The Colorado National Banks provided support while Autotrol developed its state-of-the-art equipment. Today, they're helping important projects get from the drawing board to completion faster than ever. If you've got a big idea and high technology, bring it to the Colorado National Banks. We make big ideas happen.
You're watching Channel 4, the Broncos station.
Welcome back to the Kingdom in Seattle. The team's coming back on the field. Denver leads 10-7. Anything surprise you in the first half?
Well, I think you feel the sense of how closely matched these two teams are. And really the first half divided almost between an early domination by Denver and then a later surge by Seattle. But, of course, Denver leads in this game. And Denver has been able to sack Seattle quarterbacks 3 times. That's been one positive for their side. And yet it's been the Denver quarterbacks who have given up 4 interceptions. So far, I think the kind of game we thought it would be. Close, good, hard-fought ball game, but nobody has really got enough edge to be proud of right at the moment.
Well, some friends watching around the country. Here are the implications. Should Denver win 2 weeks from now, Denver would host either Cincinnati or Pittsburgh. If Seattle wins, obviously, in 2 weeks, they'll have that honor. If Seattle should lose, they would go to the Raiders for the wild card. If Denver's the loser, they will host the Raiders next week in the wild card. There are other ramifications, and Miami still has a home field going here. If in this case, if Denver should win, then Denver could take the full home field away.
They would be able to do that, and of course there is a lot at stake. There's no question. We're looking at a playoff game, and these two teams have played very emotional football in the first half. Interesting, they were both a little tight and made some bad moves early, but I think the second half will be better quality football for us.
And Seattle will get the ball first when we come back for the second half. After these words from your local station, we'll return to the Kingdom in Seattle.
What keeps America going when it's 20 below?
Presto.
What gets families moving when the weather says no?
Prestone. Why does your car need a fresh fill of Prestone? A radiator could look this bad after just 10,000 miles of driving on weak, neglected antifreeze, while a Prestone radiator looks this good. That's the Prestone difference.
What gets them to the ski slopes? The brand that stands alone. America goes with Prestone.
Where are you hurting the most, Jimmy?
Name it. Better straighten up.
Yeah, we don't want to disappoint your fans.
No.
Hey, Jimmy, good run.
You had him right from the gate.
Your best deserves the best.
Two Bud Lights.
The less filling light beer with a first name and taste.
Hey, Jimmy!
Right.
Bud Light.
To run the Hat of the Month Club in a businesslike way, the boss has to keep the books, organize the files, write the letters, be creative, and still keep on top of things. The boss could bring home a tool for modern times, the IBM personal computer. It can help the business person wear many hats and sell even more. The IBM personal computer. Try one on at a store near you.
Billy Chris, I'm coming back Saturday Night Live this week. You've been stealing all my glory.
Hey, Manfred, don't you dare show up.
I'm going to show up.
Show up. We'll see.
This week
Saturday
with the
Night
Honey
Live.
Drippers.
Watch it.
This is the time of year when we gather from far and near, and we welcome the season in, and let all the love begin. And the jokes you tell, and the songs you sing, and the sight of your smile still means everything. And I finally get to say, I think of you every day.
I'm on.
Happy holidays, Coors to you.
From the people at Coors.
Hi, you're watching Channel 4, the Broncos station.
The battle in Seattle, second half. Carlos kicking off for the Seahawks. Randall Morris at the 3 for Seattle. He's got a pass at the 30. Fumbles the ball, and Denver has it at the 36-yard line. Tony Lilly, number 22, appeared to be the man who came up with the ball, a rookie from Florida. There he is, Lilly. And Dan Reeves, just as he was mighty happy at the start of the game with that long pass and the early lead, he gets the ball first in an unexpected fashion.
Looking at it from the opposite side of the field, Morris just stripped of that football right there. Tony Lilly, number 22, came up with it. I think it was Jackson, 28, that stripped it away.
Yeah, Lilly had it all the way. He took it right out of his hand.
Jackson was there to help. Interesting play. Interesting play.
First turnover that goes to Denver, and they get the ball at the 34 of Seattle. Winder to the 31, and that really has to upset. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Let's go to the first half statistics.
statistic's rather interesting in that a 73-yard pass play for the Broncos, and they only have 96 yards passing. Interesting how one play can really make a half for a team. That long pass to Watson set up the touchdown was the most important play for the Broncos, and Chuck Knox said that yesterday, and I think Reeves would agree. In a game, there may be 4 or 5 plays that turn the tide of the game. We may just have seen one of those plays here with that fumble on the kickoff.
Second down and 7. Elway, a lot of time. Oh, he is nimble and quick. And look at him pick his way all the way to the 13-yard line. John Elway. Oh, that's unusual. They're moving the Seahawks defense. They just can't throw a net around the quarterback of the Broncos.
I think Elway probably went 70 yards on this play. Rolling out to his right. Cannot find an open receiver. Look at him there. A little fake. Gets away from 77 Bryant. Gets away from Jacob Green there. Now he will reverse his field. He'll go all the way back across the field about 35 or 40 yards and finally put it on the ground. They're inside the 15-yard line looking into the Seahawks end zone.
17 yards on the play from the 13. Oh, what a hit as Winder is nailed.
Keith Butler, 53, shooting in from his linebacker position, levels Sammy Winder.
Butler from Memphis State. He goes back to 9 years of age when he played Pee Wee football. He said, I knocked out my first injury. I knocked out my 2 front teeth. We had won the game. I threw my helmet up in the air and I didn't catch it. Hit me in the mouth and knocked 2 of my teeth out. And from there on, if this was his game. And boy, did he meet Winder in the hole for a yard loss. Jim Wright, the tight end, his first touchdown of the year. It comes in the last game, and what a big one for Wright.
Jim Daddy Wright, number 87, is the H-back. John Sawyer, who's been playing that position, been on injured list for the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. They were hoping to have him back for this game, but in his absence, it's still James Wright, Daddy Wright. He did it upright on that play for the touchdown.
Former Atlanta Falcon, only his 11th catch of the year. Carlos to try the point after. It's 17-7 Denver. So the Seahawks came out figuring they'd get the kickoff, try to establish an offensive drive to take the lead, but the fumble recovery, and it leads to this 14-yard touchdown throw by Elway.
Elway had it all the way with the feeling that he was going to be able to get it deep. John Harris, number 44, the safety, beaten on the play. Perfect pass by Elway.
And Wright has given the Broncos a 10-point lead. 2.5 minutes gone in the third quarter.
Years ago, a vast glacier covered North America from the Arctic to what is now Wisconsin. The massive sheet of ice scoured the land beneath it and left a sparkling new land behind. The pure fresh water left in the wake of this ancient glacier today provides the finest brewing water left on Earth. The water that's used to make Heileman's Old Style beer. Heileman's Old Style beer, brewed with water from when the Earth was pure.
Today's game is brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By De Beers, the name that stands for diamonds. The perfect gift for any occasion. A diamond is forever. And by Wang. Wang puts people in front of computers.
Well, the Seahawks had the 4 turnovers in the first half, got only 7 points. The first turnover for Denver leads to a touchdown and a 17-7 lead. Morris, who fumbled the last time, has trouble again. He'll take, no, he's running it out. Oh, what a mistake. He could have stayed in the end zone and had a touchback at the 20, but confused, headed upfield, and he is down at the 2.5-yard line.
Randall Morris. And I think he just hesitated for a second, thinking that maybe he was wrong. You look at it, you can almost read his mind. He does not have to run this football out. He didn't provide the impetus to put the ball in there. He looks back and suddenly decides, but what if I'm wrong? And decided to bring it out of there, and that puts the Seattle Seahawks with their backs against the wall, and this is the kind of situation that Joe Collier and the Denver defense love. They love to have a little bit of an edge on the board. They've got that 10-point edge right now. This is when they can turn it loose and really put the pressure on an offense.
And Seattle has dug itself a hole now. Fumble on the kickoff return to start the half. A fumble again, and they begin at their 3-yard line. Eric Lane about 4 yards to the 7. Reuben Carter and Lewis Wright on the tackle.
Chuck Knox, I'm sure, very concerned with the way this half is open. It looked like they were going to have a good opening as they got a nice return on that ball, but then Lilly stripped it away and gave Denver an opportunity, and good teams capitalize on opportunities. Denver came right back, put it in the end zone, put the points on the board, and now Seattle really with their backs against the wall.
Lane again for a yard. That didn't fool the Denver defense. They have been tough against the run all season long. They've been more generous against the pass.
We talked early in this ball game about the great matchup between Rulon Jones, number 75, and in this case, Ed Bailey, number 65. He's moved inside on the guard here. Now they're trying to control him inside. Essig starts inside to give him a little help. But look how Rulon fights out of that block, gets back to the outside to get the tackle on Eric Lane. That is excellent line play.
And brings up 3rd down and about 5. From his own end zone, there's Largent. Look at him spin away from Smith, and he has the first down at the 18. His 3rd catch today, Largent.
We mentioned the man-to-man coverage, and that was a shift in the defensive plan of Joe Collier. You saw Dennis Smith, their most athletic defensive back, isolated man-to-man on Steve Largent. Largent is tough to cover that way, finding a way to catch the football and pick up the first down.
10 yards on the play. First down out to the 18, giving Craig a little more room in which to operate. 17-7 Denver. We're early in the 3rd quarter. David Hughes, no gain. Reuben Carter, helped by Jim Ryan, number 50.
I'm sure Dan Reeves feeling very good about the way his team has started, and Reeves has really developed as a coach, Dick. I think in his early coaching, his first year, his initial year in Denver, things went pretty well, and then we went through that shortened 2nd year in which everything caved in on Dan Reeves. He said he learned a lot more in that year. Came back last year, got his team bouncing and back into the playoffs, and then this year, they have just surprised everyone with the quality of their play.
As you saw, tough against the run and tough again today. Craig brought down from behind, may have gained a yard out to the 19-yard line, and if so, it's no sack for Chavis.
Reeves on the sideline.
There's some people who may consider themselves geniuses as coaches, but geniuses are made by great football players. Well, another way of saying the same old thing. You've never seen a jockey yet carry a horse across the finish line first. You got to have the people. You have to have the horses. A gain of a little less than a yard on the play, so no sack. 3rd and 9. Going deep for Byron Walker, and almost intercepted by Dennis Smith. Or is that Randy Robbins?
I think it's Randy Robbins,
Randy
48. Robbins, who's one of the extra defensive backs that go on the field. Interesting that the Denver defensive coordinator, Joe Collier, talked about the loss of Dennis Smith, their free safety, strong safety, and he had to start moving extra people. He had to take Randy Robbins, who's a fine player, and put him into that position, and that meant moving somebody else up to be a sixth defensive back. And it was that kind of shuffling that they felt really hurt them in that earlier ball game this year.
Jeff West and Gerald Wilhite, their catch right at the 40-yard line. Denver with the lead has excellent field position. The Broncos, at least at this stage, 8:30 left, third quarter, are in charge.
No company can simply deliver a computer and feel it has delivered on the promise of office automation. At Wang, we provide service and support along with our computers so that the people who use them will always be able to perform to their fullest potential. Wang, we put people in front of computers.
Happy holidays from Ford and your local Ford dealer.
Rudyard Kipling would have been proud of this headless player.
That's a very big player. What we wanted to show, Walt Leffler, the equipment man for the Seahawks, gave us a pair of pads, and it's interesting what's happened. It used to be the defensive lineman worried about being grabbed. Now it's the offensive lineman. They put double-edged tape in here to hold the jersey down. They give you nothing to hang on to. We'll come back and talk about it in a second, Rick.
First down, Elway. Somebody should be open. Flag is down. Wright, who just caught the touchdown, is tackled at the 46. We have holding against Denver.
I believe it was Keith Bishop. Coming back to the booth to show you what we have here. It's interesting, too. They even have a drawstring on these sleeves so that there's not a sleeve for the defensive man to grab a hold of him. I can remember when we tied our jerseys down defensively. Now they're doing it offensively. And one other thing we can show you is the mesh. It gets hot and humid inside here, and this jersey obviously designed to allow the athlete's body to get some cool air. So a little bit of equipment for the game.
Tough to even grab a hold of that stuff. Well, there was no grabbing of jersey, but a little hook of 54, Keith Bishop.
Bishop working on Jeff Bryant, number 77, and we mentioned him early. We have not really heard from him in a sack, but he has been a factor.
Wilhite on the shovel pass, running through a tackle and gains about 12 to the 42.
That's a very difficult play to react to defensively. It's like an off-speed pitch, and it's not a pass and it's not a handoff. Another angle on that play, and it's just a little shovel pass. Elway just drops it back inside. Looked like he actually wanted to hand that one back inside. And again, you're thinking pass in that shotgun formation. Broncos able to run effectively on that play.
Tough call whether that was a lateral pass or forward pass. It is ruled a forward pass, 12 yards for Elway. And Winder to the 48-yard line, 2 yards shy of a first down. As we pause briefly for station identification. From Seattle, this is the NBC Television Network.
We're watching Colorado's news channel, KCNC TV, Denver.
The battle for the championship of the AFC West. Two teams tied with 11-3 records, Denver and Seattle, and the Broncos lead by 10 in the battle in Seattle and have the ball 3rd and 2 at their own 48. Third quarter, 7:06 left. Winder is stopped short of the first down. Schultz and Simpson leading the charge along with Greg Gaines, and Denver will have to punt.
Broncos have been able to make yardage repeatedly by getting good running from their backs. But on this play, watch how the Seahawks close in on the defense. You'll see excellent pursuit all across the line and virtually no hole at all. Joe Nash standing his man up. Jacob Green coming inside. Safeties, linebackers. Look how many blue-shirted players in on that play.
Norman is only kicked for 36 yards. Scansey is back at the 11.
Ooh,
another
straight up in the air.
Got a good bounce the first time and does again.
Can you believe that bounce?
He has kicked 2 balls that have gone only about 15 yards beyond the line of scrimmage, but they've taken 20-yard rolls.
The irony is that in the game in Denver, he averaged 56.6 yards per punt. Now here today, he's kicked them straight up in the air.
And he's had the lucky roll. It's 17-7. Seattle has the ball.
America was born with a dream. A dream that says, in this great land, each and every one of us has the opportunity to build a life that's rich and rewarding. At Prudential Bates Securities, we believe in that dream. We can show you how total financial planning can bring you a richer life for today and tomorrow. Call us. We're Prudential Bates Securities. America, bring us your future.
Some of the roughest roads aren't in the mountains. They're in big cities, perhaps even your city. So we asked Brad McCabe to drive this Ford Ranger over some of the meanest streets this city can dish out. But this stock Ranger is built tough, with twin I-beam front suspension to handle those cavernous potholes, bone-jarring bumps, and repair sections. And there's a new fuel-injected 4-cylinder engine or V6 power, unbeaten by any small V6 pickup. Nice driving, Brad.
We work well together. My Ford Ranger and me.
The best-built American trucks are built Ford tough.
Take a look back at the year in sports through the music of today's hottest groups. NBC Sports World Music Videos. Tell them Don Pardo sent you.
Long stretch of fairway from the end zone. That's where the Seahawks want to put the ball, but at the moment it's back at their 18-yard line.
They have seemed to be backed up all day, and it's difficult with this kind of lead to operate against the Denver defense that has some freedom now. They can gamble. They can get more aggressive.
Greg gives it to Hughes. And he's to the 22, maybe the 23, close to 5 yards before Rulon Jones makes the hit for the Denver Broncos along with Barney Chavis.
Dick, we haven't talked about the game that the Seahawks played against Kansas City last week, but they were really flat in that ball game. They, by their own admission, just did not get out and play any kind of football at all. And sometimes when you look past the team and you play that poorly, it's hard to get things back into gear. The timing has not been there for the Seahawks today.
Well, they had their 8-game winning streak snapped at Kansas City, just as the Chiefs knocked off Denver and stopped their 10-game streak. Craig to Hughes, working on Harden, and Harden makes the tackle at the 33, but it's a first down. 10 yards on the play.
Hughes lunging for that last yard down the sideline, and Craig showing you that he too can run the football, although he has not created as many big plays today with his running ability as has John Elway. Oh, you're a very nervous coach. I tell you, he didn't hardly want to talk before the game, and I don't blame him. But he obviously feels better now, and his defense has seemed to be in command.
17-7 Denver. Less than 5 minutes left in the third quarter. Break down the middle, and he had an open man, Turner, but he was throwing under pressure from Rulon Jones.
For 75, Rulon Jones. He's the guy that they're trying to keep away from Craig, but he's a finesse rusher. They talk about jerky pass rushing motions. He's the kind of guy that gives you the head fakes and the shoulder fakes. And then when you make a move with one of those fakes, he suddenly zips the other way and is gone.
Somehow that seems contradictory. 6'6" and 260 and a finesse rusher.
Well, that's his style. You know, Jeff Bryant, for example, on the Seattle team is really a bull rusher. He uses more strength than finesse in his rushing technique.
Both men about the same size. 2nd and 10 for Craig, buying some time. Incomplete, and is that intercepted? No, Harden never had control. Harden almost picking that one off as it bounced off Largent while he was still on the turf.
Ball bouncing around, caroming back and forth. An opportunity for these Broncos to pick up their second turnover had it stayed in the air. Louis Wright, man-to-man on Largent with help deep from Harden. Wright is the short man here, coming back with him. Yeah, a little bit of bumping there. Did that ball hit the ground?
I don't think so.
I don't think it did either. Good job of coming back there. Byron Walker, 89, actually knocked that ball out of Harden's hands.
3rd and 10. Craig is 15 for 28, but he's gotten only 148 yards out of those 15 completed passes. Intercepted by Foley, and Foley has a touchdown for Denver. Intercepted his 39th pass in his career. That was his first touchdown, and did he save it for a special spot?
You sense the elation of his teammates, and you, of course, can feel the depression. David Craig, Foley, really the man who initiates the activity in that defensive secondary for the Broncos. One of the toughest hitting safeties in all of football. On that particular play, showing you his skill as an interceptor.
And he was a college quarterback for 3 years with the Green Wave of Tulane, and he made his move perfectly. Wide open run of 40 yards for the touchdown, and it's the Broncos that are capitalizing very quickly on turnovers in the second half. Point is good by Carlos. Foley apparently had a touchdown earlier this year.
I think it was on a fumble recovery.
That was against Green Bay in the snow game in Denver, but that's his first by interception. There's a flag down on the extra point try, and here it is again. Foley making his move in front of the helpless Darrell Turner. That's the kind you dream of.
We talked at the very beginning of the show about turnovers and the fact that they could well determine the outcome of this ball game, and right early in the second half, 2 big turnovers, 2 touchdowns for the Denver Broncos, and that indeed has made the difference so far in this ball game.
Marked off 10 yards for holding against the Broncos. They'll have to try the extra point again.
Terry Taylor, number 20, gets off of the ball as quick as anyone I've ever seen. They've had him trying to block the kicks from the right side on Carlos, and he just is like a cat, Dick. I've never seen anybody come in quicker.
There was some movement in the Denver line. You saw that, and that'll cost the Broncos 5 more yards. These two teams have been so opportunistic in terms of the defense scoring touchdowns. Seattle has 8 touchdowns. There you see the turnovers today. Seattle this year has 8 touchdowns by the defense, and that was Denver's 8th touchdown on defense.
Scoring on defense. There aren't many teams in the NFL who can go back over a 3-year period and show you that many touchdowns by their defense.
Well, Carlos is working himself into a 34-yard attempt for the extra point.
This is a pretty good-sized field goal now.
And he got a lot of practice, and Rich Carlos, who hit the uprights twice and losses to earlier, found his range last week, and he has been perfect today.
The Nikon FG is the 35mm camera sophisticated enough for the serious photographer.
Camera, pictures, human fun.
Get switched to programmed, it's simple enough for total beginners. And it's so reasonably priced, it even makes a great gift.
Hey, guys, a Nikon FG with a 50mm lens. Wow, I always wanted a Nikon.
Hey, you know what my job is? Well, this is my office, a movie set. Yeah, I'm a stuntman, and I depend on my equipment.
That's why Terry Leonard likes a tough Ford Ranger like this one. With a V6 engine, no small V6 tops for power. Tough twin I-beam suspension, a strong ladder-type frame, tough double-box walls, and the widest cab in its class.
That's terrific, Terry. It's easy for my Ford Ranger and me.
The best-built American trucks are built Ford tough.
Monday, it's an all-new Little House movie, a 2-hour Christmas special. Will the holidays bring tragedy when Laura's baby is kidnapped?
Why did you leave her?
Bless all the dear children, Monday.
Like Tony Franklin of the Patriots, Carlos, a barefooted kicker. We asked him why. He said, no reason. I just wasn't kicking that well with shoes, so I thought I'd try it without a shoe. Toward David Hughes at the 3. And Hughes is wrapped up at the 27-yard line. Well, prior to last week, the Denver newspaper, in the light of Carlos hitting the uprights, offered this view of Carlos trying a field goal with those teeth up there to knock it down. Well, he was 3 for 3 last week against San Diego and perfect today.
They have artists here in Bronco country, too, showing the kind of goalpost that Carlos would have liked to have been kicking into. He's a fine young man, and I think one of the real tests of athletes, in particular kickers, because the pressure is so great, is their ability to respond to adversity. And we have to give him high marks in that area.
Seattle with work to do, trailing 24-7 late in the third quarter. And the crowd is quiet by Kingdom standards, really quiet. That almost intercepted again as the pass thrown behind David Hughes and right into the arms of Jim Ryan. Jim Zorn, is he going to come in if this continues?
He and Craig are good friends, and it's interesting. Chuck Knox has not hesitated on occasion to pull his quarterback and allow Jim Zorn to go into the ball game. Zorn is a tough competitor, and when he's watching a game, as he's had the opportunity to here in the first half, he can be mulling over the kinds of plays that he would like to see called in there, and he can be seeing what is happening with the defense. Some luxuries you don't have when you've got to keep your eye on the rush and try and get that ball to the open man in the field.
Craig on 2nd and 10 has Largent in motion and throws to Largent, incomplete. Did not get both feet down as he was hammered. Number 57, Tom Jackson with the play.
And it would appear that the Denver defensive strategy of putting the pressure on the quarterback today, forcing him to make the perfect throw to the receivers in man-to-man situations, has paid big dividends. Craig is not having that kind of success in terms of getting the ball down the field. He has thrown the ball for quite a few completions, but in the overall scheme of things has not been able to control the game as he did the game in Denver.
Well, he had over 400 yards there, but only 148 today, 15 for 31.
His numbers dropping here in the second half.
He needs 10 to keep possession. There's Largent, and he has the first down at the 40. And did you see Largent work his way open? He battled to give Craig a shot.
Largent came all the way across the field in motion. Now watch him duck upfield. Man-to-man coverage by Dennis Smith, 49, and Largent across in front of him before he could make a move. Still manages to fight for the extra yardage.
Yeah, what I liked about that, Merlin, he didn't run laterally across field. He was giving ground back toward the quarterback to give him a chance. Otherwise, Smith had too good a coverage on him. He's about to become the number 9 receiver all time, passing Lance Allworth in catches. Another first down at the 44 is Byron Walker, hit by Dennis Smith after a 15-yard play.
Dave Craig showing you that he has some arm strength, too. He rifled that ball. Just a straight line bullet. Walker, good concentration to keep a hold of it. You know, Craig actually got his first starting opportunities back in '81 when Zorn broke an ankle and did well. Won 2 of the last 3 games in that year, and then won the starting job the next year under Jack Patera, 1982, only to injure his hand and see Zorn come back into the lineup.
A rare free agent quarterback, Dave Craig, trying to get Seattle back in the game. Oh, Charlie Young doesn't drop many of those.
A little timing pattern. Craig maybe put a little too much heat on that, although you have to throw that ball with some velocity when you're throwing it in between the linebackers.
50% passer is Craig today. 1 touchdown, 4 yards, but also 1 interception that went for a touchdown.
1 very critical interception. Now, the word that keeps popping up when you talk about quarterbacks, and especially quarterbacks who are in their development cycle, and I would certainly put Craig in that area, is confidence. Is confidence. And you kind of feel that Craig has been shaken a little bit today in this ballgame.
A quick toss to Larson, and he has another first down. And for Larson, that is his 5th catch today. And move aside, Bambi. Lance Allworth is now number 10 all-time, as Larson has moved ahead of him in the number 9th spot with his 543rd reception.
In his time in the league, no one has caught more passes for more yardage, more touchdowns than Steve Larson.
He started the season 29 years of age. If he stays healthy the way he runs his routes and with those hands, he might catch 700, 750 before he's through.
Well, he's proved his value today, and right now the Seahawks thinking about getting it into the end zone.
First down at the 32. To the 27-yard line. Gain of about 5. 2:15 left in the 3rd quarter, and Denver leading 24-7.
They need the touchdown. It's interesting about this Denver defense. They give up a tremendous amount of yardage. In fact, in total defense, they're ranked 24th in the league. Now that's a yardage statistic. And yet they're the 2nd toughest defense to score on in the NFL. As you push them down toward their end zone, they get tougher and tougher and tougher.
Really difficult inside the 20. Over the middle to Young, and the tight end has a first down at the 14. Rick Dennison, number 55, with a tackle.
Well, and Dave Gregg says, I heard about your reputation. I'm coming anyway. As he moves this team down the field. He has gone a number of times today to his tight ends across the middle. Charlie Young doing a good job of sorting his way through that defense to find room.
Saw Knox take a peek at that clock. That's his enemy now. 1:09 left in the 3rd quarter.
Jim Zorn on the sideline with his helmet on. I wonder if that means anything.
Into the end zone to Young. Touchdown.
The Seattle crowd responding, kicking that meter up well over 100 as they have something to cheer about finally here in the 2nd half. A touchdown down the middle of Charlie Young. A chance now to get the ball back and get themselves back into this football game.
For Craig, that is his 2nd touchdown pass today. His 32nd this year, second only to Dan Marino with 44 in that sensational year with Miami. Norm Johnson adds the extra point. And with less than a minute remaining in the 3rd quarter, Seattle is within 10.
We'll put you right where the action is, looking down from the camera atop the goalpost, as we watch Craig zip that ball into the end zone. Craig dropping back to play all the way to Charlie Young, one-on-one on number 50, Jim Ryan. And that's the kind of play that will have the Seahawks and their fans celebrating here in the Kingdome.
Introducing a telephone as remarkable as it is reliable. Telephones from General Electric, engineered for years of dependable performance, with sophisticated features like 9-number memory, one-touch redial, and emergency dialing. Backed with a full 2-year warranty and GE Answer Center service 24 hours a day. GE Telephones, the quality rings true.
GE, we bring good things to life.
When night comes out to play.
Turn it loose with the silver bullet. Find it, catch it, grab it, pull it. It's the right light one when you hit the town. Coors Light
The best and the brightest of the bowls are on NBC. The Citrus Bowl kicks off our season as the Bulldogs of Georgia battle the Florida State Seminoles. All of the wide-open excitement of college football at its best and brightest. The Florida Citrus Bowl. America loves its sports, NBC style.
Veteran Charlie Young, his first touchdown of this season. He's approaching 400 career catches. He pulls his team within 10, 24, 14. Johnson to kick it off. This one is short. Lang at the 12. 30. And Gene Lang, the rookie, all the way to the 43-yard line. 11th round draft pick from LSU. Well, the progression of turnovers in a positive vein for these teams. In 82, Denver, a -17 in the hole. Then last year, a +6, and now 24. This includes today's turnovers, a -2 for Seattle, then 16 and 21. A lot of people relegate that to luck. It can't be just a lucky bounce down.
It is not luck. It's something you work at. And that's something we ought to go back and talk more about after this play, Dick.
Good return, and Denver has it at the 43. With 42 seconds left in the third quarter. And that's Winder into Seattle's 35-yard line before Simpson can knock him off his feet. 22 yards.
Something missing in that Seattle defense today. They are not making the tackles. They're not getting people to the point of attack. Winder, an excellent job here. Bryant did a great job on Nash on the nose. And Sammy just refuses to go down. A lot of missed tackles for this Seattle defense and some excellent running by Sammy Winder.
He has 83 yards today, and with that last run, Denver will let the clock run out. That is the end of the third quarter. The battle in Seattle at this point, it's Denver standing tall, 24-14. We'll be back after these messages from your local station.
Sunday on Silver Spoons, Ricky's guest caused Christmas chaos.
Don't think of it as throwing him out, Edward. Think of it as avoiding a homicide.
Then Punky Brewster needs a booster shot.
Chicken skin.
And Mr. T and Emmanuel Lewis host Maureen McGovern, David Copperfield, and an all-star lineup in a Christmas dream.
Sunday.
The Denver Broncos are having a pretty good season, but there's another team here in Denver that's having a great year. Your Denver Metro Ford dealers. They're number one. They got to the top by making great deals on the best-built American cars and trucks. That's why Fords are the official cars and trucks of the Denver Broncos. Your Ford dealers will continue to make the best deals they can because next year they want to be in the #1 spot again. And that's the position that I can sure appreciate.
A man on the move. Driver for the Coors Light Silver Bullet Racing Team. Al Unser Jr. When you're running with the big boys, you gotta run fast. Move ahead of the pack with Coors Light. Silver Bullet.
At Empire Savings, our commitment, our strength, comes from all of us working as a team to bring you the best financial services every day.
You're watching Channel 4, the Broncos station.
Today's game is brought to you by Today Chevrolet. See Today Chevy, drive Today Chevy, live Today Chevy. By Bud Light, the less filling light beer with the first name in taste. And by the U.S. Army, a place to be all you can be.
Welcome back to the Kingdome in Seattle. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. It's 24-14. Denver leading the Seahawks as we open the fourth quarter. The statistics, total yards, a 10-yard difference. Denver 10 more yards than Seattle. But a couple of key turnovers in that third quarter led to 2 touchdowns for the Broncos. Winder breaks a tackle by Nash and gains 4.
We bounced around a few of the key matchups at the beginning of this ball game. One of them we talked about was Bryant against Studdard, and another one, Nash against Bryan on the center. We've heard very little from Nash during this ball game and very little from Bryan during this game. Look at the control right there by Billy Bryan, who keeps Nash out of the play until the end of it. And then when Nash did get there, because he was out of bounds, couldn't make the tackle. Another missed tackle.
Elway airs it out. And a flag is down. Interference against Simpson. That'll be down around the 5-yard line as Butch Johnson apparently was bumped.
Big mistake in the secondary. Although I think the feeling was if they hadn't done it, he would have caught the ball.
Interference, number 42 defense, first down.
First and goal. Now, with Denver inside the 5, the situation is this early in the fourth quarter. A field goal wouldn't bother Seattle so much because they're going to have to score twice anyway. But a touchdown means that the Seahawks have to score 3 times in the fourth quarter.
Right at the end of that play, as you see the ball in the air, the bump in the back of Butch Johnson by Keith Simpson. And of course, Denver has an excellent opportunity to fatten up their lead.
Rich Paris has the touchdown. Paris straight ahead as the Seahawks may have been looking for Winder, and Paris has scored.
Little counteraction on that play. Well designed to get the defense to move out of the way. Paris slamming right up in the middle. And so look how it looks like a play that's going to go outside, and Elway spins all the way around, hands it back inside. Good blocking. A few more kudos to that Denver offensive line as they make room for Paris and the touchdown.
Yeah, the Pro Bowl voters may have done Seattle a gross disservice before this game because the Broncos are angry that only one player has been named to that honor. Carlos hits the extra point. Winder is one of the reserve backs that will go to the Pro Bowl. But how about Bill Bryan and how about Tom Jackson and some of the players on this Denver team?
Is the advanced multi-port fuel-injected V6 available on Celebrity Eurosport. Power you can feel when you drive today's Chevy.
Give me a light. Bud Light.
If you just ask for a light beer, you never know what you'll get.
Give me a light. Bud Light. Hold this, will you?
So if you want the less filling light beer with the first name and taste, don't just ask for a light beer.
Give me a light.
Ask them to bring out their best.
Bud Light.
Bud Light. Because everything else is just a light.
The NFL plays here, Pittsburgh.
The Steelers have defended their Central Division crown with Mark Malone's strong arm and John Stallworth's sure hands.
The NFL plays here, Los Angeles.
The Raiders have their backs against the wall, challenging their old nemesis. Playoff spots are on the line.
Pittsburgh battles the Raiders. Your team plays here.
My team plays here.
There you see Keith Simpson. You'll be watching NBC tomorrow, Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. Whoever wins the Central will be playing the winner of this game in 2 weeks. Simpson with 2 interceptions, but also that pass interference on the last Denver drive. The Broncos 31-14. David Hughes to the 21-yard line. Pro Bowl 7 Seattle players will go to Hawaii, but only one Bronco, Sammy Winder. Here they are, Brown and Easley. And Easley, a unanimous pick. Norm Johnson, the kicker. Craig, the backup quarterback to Marino. Largent, Nash, and the special teams representative, Fred Young. That's the first time they've honored a special teams player. And Bill Bates of Dallas will go as the NFC special teamer.
I've got to believe that that kind of an insult, and that's really, Tom Jackson said it. He said the rest of our division, the rest of our conference is telling us what they think of us as players. Well, they refuse to honor any of our best. And I think it's gotten their adrenaline up for this game today.
Remind you that the coaches and the players vote on those Pro Bowl memberships. Craig, and it was intended for Largent and hit the defender in the back, Busey. And a flag is down.
I believe we're going to have another penalty against
holding.
Yeah, against the Seahawks. Last thing they needed. They're having enough trouble getting downfield as it is.
Well, they have to score 3 times now, and that means that every possession must lead to some points.
64 offense, holding, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Heck, let's go back and talk briefly about the turnovers, and we showed the progression, how these two teams have both improved in that area. And you ask a question about luck, is it luck? I'll tell you what Dan Reeves said. He said he felt that the big difference and the reason that they were not able to win back in 1981 or 1982, that stripes shortened season, was that they turned the ball over 17 times more than they were able to take it away. And he said, I was determined to do something about that.
I'll let you complete that, too, because he indeed structured a plan. Craig in trouble. Had to throw from his own 1-yard line, and Dornick, who has a touchdown reception, is to the 26. That's not enough for the first down, but gets a good chunk back, 15 yards. And he immediately initiated a plan to improve that statistic, didn't he?
He certainly did, Dick. He took the first 5 minutes of every practice, and they worked on some phase of turnovers every day. And I said, why the first 5 minutes? He said, because in that way, I could let my players know how important we felt turnovers were. Not only making turnovers, but also in keeping from turning the ball over. And they went, as you saw, from negative numbers, big negative numbers, to positive numbers.
On second down, a diving catch by Scansey, and a first down at the 36. Little guy from Washington. He doesn't have great speed or size, but what hands.
Now, they liken him to a young Largent. They would love to have him develop the same kind of skills that Largent has. I don't think has the fluidity or the grace of a Steve Largent, but he is a scrapper, and he's a hometown favorite here in Seattle.
We'll keep our eye on the clock for you. 12:51 remaining in the fourth quarter. Denver leading 31-14. Craig gets sacked from the backside by Reuben Carter, the 10-year veteran from Miami of Florida, the 4th Denver sack today.
Interesting how this game has almost been an opposite parallel to that earlier game this year. In that ball game, the Seahawks were able to shut out this Denver offense, or the Denver defense, from getting any sacks on the quarterback. And here in this ball game, just exactly the opposite, as they have been doing the damage and putting the pressure on Craig.
Second down and 18 for Craig. 12:30 left. Dumps it off to Dornick. Good running by Dornick. He's across the 40-yard line, bringing up third down and about 5.
One thing certain, that big investment in earplugs may not have been necessary for these Denver Broncos. I wonder how many of them are sitting down there under the bench right now, because with the control of this ball game, they have been able to quiet this usually noisy crowd right down.
The good news is both teams are in the playoffs. The bad news is the team that loses today has to play the Raiders next week. Raiders meet Pittsburgh tomorrow and have a chance to decide the Central Division Championship.
Craig. Here comes the blitz. He got away.
And there's the ever-present Largent making the catch at the 50. You see him go into that pop-up slide, caught the ball right back on his feet like a man stealing second base.
Craig knows who he's going to go to in that kind of pressure situation. Did a good job of avoiding the rush. The blitz is on here. Watch from the right-hand side. Pressure coming right there from Carl Mecklenburg. Wiped out one of his own teammates. Ed Bailey did a good job of getting back to help on that play. And there's that bounce-up slide. That's going into second place and looking for third.
First down for Seattle.
There's Mecklenburg, 77, coming in on that last play. Just barely missing another sack.
A little quick toss out in the flat to Lane for a couple of yards to the 48 of Denver. But Seattle needs big plays now, and the clock is running. 10:45 left. Second down and 8. (31-14). Denver has led throughout. 7-0, 10-0, 10-7 at the half. Then 2 quick scores on defensive turnovers. One a Foley interception to build a 24-7 lead. Seattle came back to close at 24-14. But here in the fourth quarter, another touchdown for Denver to lead 31-14. Flag down. I think it's against Seattle for motion. If it is against Denver, that would be a first down at the 35.
Dornick doing a good job. Dornick injured his knee in that game last week, and you're right, Dick. Nothing seems to be going Seattle's way here in this second half. Take that nice gain for a first down and march off the 5 yards.
Illegal motion, right side of the offensive line. They move before the snap. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Let's see if we can pick that up.
Pratt, the man who was moving on that play, and you saw him trying to get out. They're just trying to get out. They're the option men. They're trying to pick up. They're expecting the blitz, and they want to get back to where they can see who's coming. Well, they got back a little too quickly on that play.
10 minutes, 11 seconds left in the quarter. The final period here in the Kingdom. Craig.
He'll run for it.
But he does not get the first down. Does stop the clock at the 45-yard line. 5 yards short of the first down.
Craig showing us good speed as he came outside. Broke it to the sideline. Got down within 5 yards of the first down. The third and a little less than 5 yards to go.
They need the quick strike.
They need the big bomb. And that's something that Denver has done effectively in this game and throughout the season, although they were able to get that first bomb against them. There's a good story in that first pass that Craig threw to Turner in that earlier game between these two teams. Seattle came out in a formation that they had run 100% out of, and I think they sucker punched Denver's defense a little bit.
Third down and 5. A draw, quarterback draw, and Craig has the first down at the 35. You see Craig trying to hurry his team back into the huddle. They can't afford to waste any seconds now because they have to score and get the ball back 2 more times and score.
I think this is one of the toughest plays in football right here. Reuben Carter, the man he had to put a little move on there, get him to go one way, and Craig went the other. And when you're expecting the pass and you're dropping deep, and especially when you're playing man-to-man, it's hard to come back and get a hold of that quarterback on that particular play. You're looking at the receivers. So if you can beat the line, you've got room.
The play Jim Zorn ran very well for years here in Seattle. With 9:18 left. Dumps it off to Dornick. And a flag is down again. Dornick to the 24-yard line.
And we've got a holding call against Seattle. And again, a fine gain will be negated by the penalty.
Yeah, the testimony to the Bronco defense.
64 offense, holding, 10-yard penalty, still first down.
Ron Essink, he's been ticketed a couple of times here in the quarter.
Talk about the tough matchups. You put those good pass rushers on top of these guys all day long. They're allowed to use their hands effectively, and they do. But sometimes they get a little too aggressive in the use of their hands.
Do you think they ought to tighten up that rule, not allow quite so much to the offense?
It's not a rule I like at all, Dick.
Of course, you have a bias. I mean, you wouldn't like...
Just slightly biased.
Dornick again stopped at the 37-yard line. That'll bring up 2nd and 12. And in the meantime, Denver's going to take its time getting off the man who's tackled because they want that clock to run. 8:57 showing. Gene Barth stopped the clock now until Dornick could extricate himself and get back in the huddle. Now it's rolling again.
Now, of course, the Broncos' philosophy here is that they will give you the short passes underneath. In fact, they'll just try and keep you in bounds, keep the clock running. Right now, it's a battle with the clock as well as Seattle, and it's a battle that Seattle has got to fight rather quickly, or they're not going to have a chance to come back.
Craig complete. That's Byron Walker, free agent out of Citadel. 14 yards and a first down, but the clock is going. 8:23, 8:22 left.
You look right into the eyes of the quarterback. Craig getting pressure on that play, still able to spot Walker coming across the middle. Here it is. Walker will come across at the lower part of your screen. He's looking to his left. Finally spots Walker, and right there, zipped it inside. Good play. Down, first down, just outside the 20-yard line.
But Denver, although they're giving up ground, they're also forcing Seattle to use a lot of clock. Less than 8 minutes left. This is the 12th play of the drive. That's Charlie Young. And former Southern Californian, as is Young, ex-Trojan. Dennis Smith was covering him. Well, that Smith is quite an athlete, good size, one of the taller safeties in the league at 6'3", and he high jumped 7 feet at USC, and in practice 7'2". So you've got yourself a lot of man when Dennis Smith takes you on.
Denver, they feel that he can be as good as he wants to be, and he's an impressive safety now. When he decides he wants to play and wants to be the best around, has every tool you could possibly ask of a safety. Big, strong, fast, good hitter, and certainly very bright in the way he's approached the game.
Last incomplete stopped Craig at 10 straight. 2nd and 10 with 7:47 left. Over the middle, Darrell Turner cannot get out of the grasp of Lewis Wright. There's another man with size and talent, Wright at 6'2" and 200.
And there are those who feel that Louis Wright had credentials that could have allowed him to be in that Pro Bowl this year. He's been there many times and really has had a better year in this season than he had last year in 1983.
They say he has the perfect personality to play cornerback, introverted and sometimes temperamental, and with short memories. You don't want a long memory if you're playing cornerback.
You can't afford a long memory. Well, they need the end zone here. Denver saying, nope, we're going to keep you short if we can.
14th play of this drive.
Another draw, quarterback draw.
Doesn't work. And stopped short of the first down. And of course, at this point, trailing by 17. Seattle, well, they may go for a field goal at that, or let's keep our eyes open at this stage for a possible fake.
The holder in this field goal situation, Jim Zorn. And when you have a quarterback as a holder, you might see all kinds of things rather than a kick.
6:31, 6:30 clock running. It would be a 33-yard attempt by Johnson if.
You got to believe that Denver's thinking the same thing. It's a fake.
And the little option incomplete, and Denver takes over as Zorn's pass to Dornick was too low, or to Johnson, the kicker, and that was too tough a chance for Johnson.
A little wishbone tee. Zorn, the man who exercised the option, and he just fired it a little hard. Well, you can read the lips, and you know how disappointed Zorn is. He's faking it to his left. He gets the option he wanted. And then instead of throwing the ball up where it could be caught easily, he put it at the feet of his kicker, Norm Johnson, and just no chance for it.
A good pass, and it would have gotten first down yardage, not a touchdown, but that may be the play that sends Denver home as the champions of the West. We have 6:14 remaining in the fourth quarter, and the Broncos are riding on a 17-point lead.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
Introducing the new fuel-injected Tech 4 engine for 1985 S10. 10% more horsepower and 22% more torque than last year's standard engine.
So bring on the work, bring on the play. You got the guts, go all the way.
And now, Chevy's made it possible for dealers to pass along special factory incentives on selected S10s with the Tech 4 engine.
Nothing works like a Chevy truck.
For Bola wines, Franco Bola.
Sono Franco Bolla.
Why do so many people prefer my Suave Bola to other fine white wines? Taste. Not just exceptional taste, but exceptional taste every time the wine is served. That is why I make sure that our Suave Bola tastes crisp, dry, smooth, always. After all, when you're a Bola, you don't let your friends down. You can always trust the taste of a Bola.
The up-and-comers and the upsets, the controversy and the comebacks, the turbulent world of the heavyweights on NBC Sports World.
A new Kingdome record, and needless to say, a disappointed partisan crowd. I don't know if the 64-411 counts those 3 birds that we saw in the end zone. But
well, they're all. I think even the birds are disappointed. They've flown, Dick. They're not there anymore.
Now John Elway and the Broncos will undoubtedly keep it on the ground, and so read by 77 Jeff Bryant. One of the few times that Bryant has been in on a play today. He's a leading sack man for Seattle this year with 14.5 out of Clemson, a #1 pick in '82.
There's just no way to anticipate the emotional mix of a game, and it's really emotion that provides the difference in ball games, much more so than the difference in talent on a team or the difference in strategy. And today, in part, I think because of the way they arrived here, Denver appeared more motivated. They had a better feeling about this game than Seattle, and then they have gotten breaks that have allowed them to sustain. In particular, in the second half, the first kickoff, they got the ball, they took advantage of that, and then came right back with the interception for the touchdown.
Staying on the ground, and it appeared there might have been a fumble there from the reaction of the Broncos, and Bishop may have recovered that fumble. Could have been a key play. 5:15, and some of the folks are exiting early here at the Kingdome.
Yeah, they're disappointed, but what a great year they have had here in Seattle, and this is, you know, we said it early. No, there are no losers in this game. Both these teams go on into the playoffs. It's a little tougher road to hoe if Seattle continues in a losing situation, because not only do they have to play the Raiders, but they've got the extra game, and they will end up having to play so much on the road that it's difficult.
And using all of the 30 seconds allowed. This is when you realize that 30 seconds seems almost too much time for a pro team. When the collegians can do it in 25, why can't the pros? And look at Elway. He may have gotten the first down with that. Now, this is going to create some mixed bedfellows in the NFL. What this game does now, it makes the Raiders game against Pittsburgh more important for the Raiders, because the Raiders will get home field against Seattle if they beat Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's trying to win in order to take the Central Division. And Miami now needs to win against Dallas on Monday night, or they would sacrifice the home field advantage as you look ahead to the AFC Championship. So it really stirs the pot, the result here today.
Clock continues to move down. Reeves has got to feel terribly proud of the way his Broncos have played today. I bet they're already celebrating up in the Mile High City.
Well, Denver's had a great year. They won 10 in a row after splitting their first 2 games. Then they lost 2, those 2 heartbreaks to Seattle and Kansas City when Carlos hit the uprights. Came back last week to beat San Diego. And this is only the 3rd time all year they've scored more than 30 points in a game. And the other 2 are against also Rams, Buffalo and Minnesota. And they've beaten a top team today and beaten them on their home field.
They certainly have. And Knox, who's a very blunt kind of coach, I'm sure will come away saying, hey, they just blew us off the field today, and they have earned this victory and earned their advantage in the playoffs.
So Knox say, as soon as the play is over, call time. Paris up the middle for short yardage, and Keith Butler indeed calls time with 2:58 remaining in the game. But not much in that magic sheet for Knox. Denver Broncos only 3 minutes, less than that from victory.
Looks like you need to escape.
Do I?
Today's Chevrolet knows a way. Camaro Berlinetta.
Come on in, take the wheel, light it up, get the feel. It's time to escape.
Available digital sound system, cockpit instrumentation, and new standard multi-port fuel-injected V6. Camaro Berlinetta.
If this is today's Chevrolet, I'm free!
Today's Chevy, live today's Chevy, Chevy.
A lot of long-distance companies would like you to think they're just like AT&T. But take a closer look and see how different they really are. No operator service, no immediate credit for wrong numbers, and no service from many small towns. Only one long-distance company gives you full service. Only AT&T. Sometimes there's just no substitute for the real thing. AT&T, the more you hear, the better we sound.
Reach out and touch someone.
Take a look back at the year in sports through the music of today's hottest groups. NBC Sports World Music Videos. Tell them Don Pardo sent you.
If Denver wins and they lead commandingly 31-14 next week in the wild card, Seattle will be at Los Angeles if the Raiders beat Pittsburgh. If Pittsburgh wins tomorrow in Los Angeles, and you'll see that on NBC, then Seattle will host the Raiders. And in 2 weeks, Denver will host either Cincinnati or Pittsburgh in Denver. Saw Glenn Hyde there for a while. He's quite a story, isn't he?
He is. We'll get back to it. It's kind of fun to talk to in the locker room.
Third down and about 14. There's Hyde.
The most excited player on the field today. I don't think there's anybody as pumped up as he is.
Elway going to throw. And he's got Watson at the 36, just short of a first down.
Glenn Hyde had been a Bronco earlier in his career and has been in the USFL, been playing and coaching, in fact, a player coach for the Chicago Blitz. And they told him earlier this year that they were not going to renew his contract. So he's just kind of been sitting around waiting. And suddenly, because of the injuries to Bronco offensive linemen, he got a call from the Broncos. They said, come on back. He said, this is like a dream come true. I saw at 9:30 this morning, he's down in the locker room, running around in the locker room, and he's already got his sweat up. You talk about being excited, but there's a nice payday in this for him, too.
Oh, yeah. Christmas came early for Glenn Hyde. And, well, for that matter, all of the Broncos, they have Christmas off with a win in Seattle today. 2:47 left.
I thought you had practice today.
Nah, the field was too wet. Dad, do you have a minute?
What's up?
Dad, I've decided...
What?
I've decided to join the Army.
Whoa!
I think it's right for me.
What about college?
I'm still going to go to college after the Army.
I thought you wanted to be an electrical engineer.
I'll be learning about electronics, and that'll help me with my engineering.
That's a big step, Tom.
Dad, listen. I can qualify for the Army College Fund, so the government will help me pay for my tuition when I get out. That way I can help you out for a change.
If you qualify, the Army College Fund will help you accumulate as much as $20,100 for tuition.
So you're going to be a soldier?
Yeah. Be all that you can be. And an engineer. You can do it.
Be a good one.
In the Army.
Call for your copy of this free booklet.
Broncos jumped in front early. Close at the half. The key play, probably the start of the second half. As Denver kicked off to Seattle, Morris had the ball stolen away by rookie Tony Lilly. That led to a touchdown. The next possession, Craig pass intercepted by Steve Foley, 40 yards for a touchdown. And the Broncos have breathed easier since. 10 men on the line on a punt try. No contact, apparently. Picked by Chris Norman to Scansey. And nothing there for Scansey, who gets to the 28-yard line. 32-yard punt, a -4-yard return, and Dave Brown gets up slowly at midfield.
Seahawks use a lot of their frontline players on special teams, and usually they have a special teams edge, but their special teams have hurt them today. The fumble on the kickoff, and they have not had the mistake by Morris in the end zone, running the ball out when he should have stayed in the end zone. They have not had the kind of play that Rusty Tillman's special teams are noted for.
Craig out of the shotgun, trailing 31-14, and look at that Denver defense. They're playing 20, 25 yards downfield, and that went over everyone. Louis Wright had Scansey well covered.
With the clock ticking away, you really don't have that much to do here. You hope you can get deep, but that kind of pass against the defense that's playing 20 yards back, I don't even think that's a low percentage pass. That's a no percentage pass.
As you know by now, the New York Giants were defeated by New Orleans 10-3. The Giants now need help from two other games. Dallas suddenly, when it appeared very dark for Tom Landry's Cowboys, Dallas can make the playoffs if they beat Miami. It's as simple as that. So the Cowboys in control of their future.
They have to be excited. They have sure had an up-and-down elevator-type season.
Now they get a Miami team that wants to win because they'd like to have that home field. So they have a little added incentive based on what happened here today. Craig to Largent, and then lateraling to Dornick. And he steps out of bounds at the 43-yard line. The old trailer play.
Now, one thing you have to know is that Chuck Knox has plays designed and packages designed for most every situation. This is the same famous play that the Miami Dolphins scored on in that very long game. You see the pass outside, and it caught a couple of people flat-footed. Denver, with so many people deep, able to recover and push Dornick out of bounds, but they got excellent yardage on the play down to the 43-yard line.
16 of the 30 goes to Largent and 14 to Dornick on the lateral. Seattle has one timeout left. Largent again, and the pass not quite long enough. Steve wanted another. Oh, he is fun to watch, and is certainly an inspiration for players who don't have the size nor the speed by working on their techniques. You talk about finesse on defense. Here's a man who just knows defenses, outthinks defensive players, and has such wonderful feet, uses them magnificently.
When you talk about the battle between receivers and defensive backs, what the receivers are looking for is a separation from those defensive backs, and very often that's not a matter of speed as much as it is quickness and body control. And those are the kinds of things that Largent will use to separate himself from the defensive man. Now, if you're talking about what the defense wants to do, they want to close on the receiver, and they'll try to use those same skills to get in there so they can knock the ball away.
Craig dumps it off to Dornick, and he is down at the 32 with 2:03, and that'll run down to the 2-minute timeout. 2 minutes away from a celebration on the Denver sidelines. They lead here in Seattle 31-14, and here now another fantastic.
Can you guess which beer or soft drink these guests are enjoying in unlabeled aluminum cans? Budweiser? Stroh's? Miller? Coors? Could they be drinking Coca-Cola? Pepsi-Cola? Dr. Pepper? 7-Up? Well, the answer is any of them. Because today, recyclable aluminum cans seem to be everywhere, and they're always in good taste.
Are you kidding? 2 minutes to go. Denver Broncos leading 31-14. And tough to pick out any star.
Offensive tackle as well as snapper.
So very well.
Now, that's a familiar story. All year long, they've been able to score on defense. They've been able to come up with the big plays, and 2 ball games in which they were shut out on the turnover side. One of those against the Seahawks team, and last week against San Diego. Of course, they lost one of those games and very close in the other one.
Craig trying to do a little cosmetic surgery here, but he's intercepted by Mecklenburg. And the 260-pound linebacker can run.
Wow.
50. He's out of bounds at the 40-yard line, and Mecklenburg from Minnesota, he can rumble.
He has made some very big plays for this defense. They use him as an up-and-down linebacker. They'll use him as a defensive lineman. On this play, he is way deep, dropping deep into the secondary. But for a big man, watch the kind of agility and speed that he develops here. He's outrunning some good, speedy receivers and offensive backs. I think it's Craig, number 17, that pushes him out of bounds finally. The quarterback getting over to protect. He enlarged it. And boy, Mecklenburg was just legging it out.
That's the best impersonation of Bronco Nagurski we've seen in a long time. Mecklenburg, he says, I like that 77. You know, when they moved me from defensive line to linebacker, I could have taken another number, but my wife can find me better with 77. You don't see many linebackers with twin sevens.
You don't. You surely don't.
Well, you could see him on that one. Al Elway now will run out the clock, protecting the ball. 1:41 left. I'd like to thank those who have brought you this action of the Championship of the West. Executive producer Michael Weissman. Coordinating producer of NBC's football coverage is Ted Nathanson. Today's game has been produced by Larry Cirillo, directed by Ted Nathanson. NFL 84, produced by John J. Filippelli. NFL 84, directed by Bucky Guntz. Technical directors Dixon Williams and Richard Sansevier. And associate directors Ray Benassi and Mary Buda. Men and women who have brought you the action, the color, and look at that face of Dan Reeves. That spells championship Denver.
Tom Jackson there to celebrate with his coach, and both have really had impressive years. interesting to look back at the beginning of this season. Many of the Denver writers already grumbling about how poor a team Denver was, that they would be lucky to finish with any kind of winning season. And yet here they are, champions of the toughest division in the entire NFL. And they have every reason to celebrate their victory here today and their championship.
Yeah, the pictures are different on the other sidelines. We want to thank Joe Costanza, our statistician, Gary Moore, Jim Ott, Barry Culver, Frank Manthow for their assistance here in the booth today. Final play of the game. And now the Denver Broncos can see the final 15 seconds or so click away. Chuck Knox to congratulate Dan Reeves. Knox has a date with the Raiders either in L.A. or here in Seattle next week. Denver has a week off and will play either Pittsburgh or Cincinnati 2 weeks hence. It's official. The Broncos 31 and the Seahawks 14. An upset for Dan Reeves' team from Denver. Dick Enberg with Merlin Olsen. Stay tuned. We'll be back with NFL 84 immediately following these messages.
Me and the crew, we're taking this road across.